Hi friends, welcome back. I wanted to show you how I organize my reading log and keep track of everything I've read and how I look at the stats for each year. And I can do that because of the way I organize my reading log. So I thought I would just come on here and show you that really quickly. I got a cheap little notebook. I got a TBR sticker from a shop on Etsy, and I'll make sure to link that down below. Again, I got some stickers off of Etsy. I have a hoodie with that design on it, and it's so stinking cute, so I'll make sure to link that too. So this is my 2023 stats. I write down the month, and then I number the books that I've read just so it's easier for me to go back later and see how many I read in that month. I write the name of the book and the author. I write down the page count, and then I write how many stars I gave it on Goodreads. And again, I do that for all of them. If it's part of a series, I try to abbreviate the name of the series and put what number in the series it was. And again, I write the author and the page count and the stars. And then, so at the end of the month, I can tally up how many pages I read, and that's written on the other side. And then I can see how many 5-star books I had, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. So at a glance, I can see each month. Again, the month, the book title, the author, the page number, and the stars. And then at the end of the month, I can tally up how many pages I read and see how many 5-star, 4-star, etc. books I read for that month at a glance. This is the fun part. With each book I read, I have a section at the end of the year. See, there's December. So at the end of the year, I have sections where I describe the book. So I write down what genre the book was. For instance, horror. I use the Chinese tally system, which is squares, and it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just like the way that looks better than our system. I just like how clean that is compared to our system. So after I read each book, I come down to the back and I fill out the section for the book. I write down the genre of the book, and I have horror, thriller, nonfiction, literary fiction, historical fiction, young adult, fantasy, romance, juvenile, and other. And at the end of the year, I can come along and easily count up how many books I read for each genre, and then I can say, okay, so I read more thrillers than anything else. Then I read more juvenile books and fantasy and nonfiction. Then I have star ratings. After I read the book, I tally its star rating, and then again at the end of the year I can go through and say, okay, I read more 4-star books than anything else, so that was a good reading year. I have authors, new authors, and authors that I've previously read before. So I can tally up, again, after I read the book, I tally it up. And I see that I read more new authors this year, so interesting. And then the book format, physical book, audio book, or ebook, I can clearly see that I have more ebooks than anything else, and that's just because I read on my phone and I listen to audiobooks in the car, and every now and then I'll get an actual physical book from the library, but usually I'm reading an ebook just because it's easier to be on the go. I write the audience of the book, children, middle grade, young adult, and adult, and again I can clearly see that I've read more adult books than anything else. Now, the reason I do the monthly stats on the month page is so at the end of the month I just have to write it down. see, this is October. So I find October, I read 4,221 pages, and then I read 17 total books. So, and that's why I numbered the books. And then the reason I do this is so at the end of the year I can say, okay, the most books I read in a month was March. I read 19 books. And then the most pages I read in 1 month was also March. I read over 5,000. So I can see at a glance. And then I'm carrying that on 2024 this year. And again, I write the books as I finish them, and I immediately, after I write down the book, I come to the back and I fill out the section. That way I can keep track of it, and that way at the end of the year, I can tally it all up and see what my reading year was like at a glance. That way, if I want to read, say, more young adult books, I know that I need to cut back on the adult books, etc., etc. Now, I did change the stats for 2024 just because I learn as I do. So, let's see. I have horror, thriller, nonfiction, contemporary fiction. I just changed the name from literary fiction. Historical fiction, fantasy, romance, young adult, juvenile, science fiction, and other. And again, I tally it up as I read the book. Star ratings: 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, and unrated. And I usually will not rate, like, I read a lot of R.L. Stine books just because they're amazing. And I don't rate them because I'm not the age that they're geared towards, so I don't feel like I can give that an honest rating. So middle grade books and children books, I usually don't rate those because I know I'm not the age it's geared towards, so I don't feel it's fair to really give those a rating. Authors, new and previous, and the book format still have physical, audio, ebook, and just looking at this I can tell that I've read more physical books this year, so that's cool. And I've read less audio books than last year, so that's interesting. I can already tell that at a glance. Audience: children, middle grade, young adult, and adult. Again, I tend to read more adult books. And then the months that have passed so far, I have them tallied up. So far, the most books I read in a month was May. I read 20 books, which is incredible. And then the most pages read in a month was April, and that was over 5,200. So that's interesting. That's why I do that, because sometimes just because you read more books doesn't mean that you read more pages. And this year I added this section because I wanted to see how many newer release books I've been reading. So if it was published last year or this year, I tally it here. And if it was published in 2022 or earlier, then I print it here. So I am reading some new releases, but as you can see, I'm reading mostly backlist books, which is fine. That's fine. So that's how I organize my system. I will be sure to link the Etsy page where I got the stickers from because I just think they're really cute and they make it fun. But that's how I organize my books. So thanks for watching.